Good morning. I'm Shawn Riley with Coldwell Banker, and Julia picked this topic for me, so it's great because that's what I do is I help people buy or sell homes. So with buyers, the big question is, where do I start? Where do I begin? Well, first of all, you need to talk with a realtor, and I know a guy named Shawn Riley. And during that first meeting lasts more than these two little bullet points I have here. I usually get into at least a 45-minute Q&A asking them what's important, what are you looking for, what are the gotta haves, right? Well, 3 bedroom, two baths. I need to fenced yard for the dogs, blah 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 blah. So we go through all of that regardless of price point. I just want to know what they're looking for. And then I say, have you met with a mortgage lender? No. Call Jeff Clatterbaugh. Jeff's going to run them through the ringer financially to find out what their credit looks like, what their employment status is. Are there any gaps in their employment? What's their debt to income ratio? And then most importantly, because I think the car business actually made this a thing. You used to look at cars going, oh, it's $25,000. I can afford that. No, it went to monthly payment. I want my monthly payment to be less than $300 or $400 or whatever. So that's how people buy vehicles most of the time. With real estate, it's what's comfortable for you and your partner, your spouse, whoever, or if it's just you by yourself. So once you've gone through that process, is that it? Then the realtor comes back to me, let's go find you a house. Boom. Guess what? We found you my newest listing that I told you about a little earlier at 486 Dunlevy in Highland Township. We're about 13, 14 minutes due north of the heart of downtown Milford. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths with a full basement, unfinished, an oversized 2-car attached garage, just under an acre of land, and you'll see a photo of that in a minute. And you have lake access to Upper Pettibone Lake, as well as 2 smaller lakes in the immediate area, 1,529 square feet. And you can buy this house for $329,900. So when I talked about photography, this house deserved aerial photography. And this is just one of the shots. This is the back of the house looking towards the lake. What I loved when I first went to this house is how far off the road it is, because that gives you a lot more privacy. So when this woman bought the house 10 years ago, that's exactly what, she thought is, God, I love it being set back a little further. And then she met her husband or then before they were husband and wife, and they have been there 10 years. So this is just one of the photos, but the photographer I hire and the stager really do a fantastic job. Those are services that I used to not involve. Now I offer it on every listing. So you don't always get the aerial shots because if you're in a kind of nondescript setting, we don't really need to show that off. But if you're close to a cool downtown or you have lake access or something else that really striking, it helps sell the house. So you're buying the house. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, I asked my friend and yours, Jeff Clatterbaugh, to run through some mortgage scenarios. So there's 4 different scenarios he ran. This is the first. This is the way we bought houses for years. You had to come up with 20% down to avoid private mortgage insurance. So in this case, your mortgage amount is $264,000 with an interest rate of 6.875. So P&I, if you don't know what that is, that's principal and interest, is $1,735. You add about $270 of annual or monthly taxes, which is low, but you're in a township, so that helps keep it low. And this is based on current taxes, and you'll see what our sale price was in a few slides. 150 of home insurance, that's probably a bit high, but here's your total payment at the bottom, $2,155. So my son and his wife, who are paying $2,000 a month for a duplex in Ann Arbor, for a little bit more with 20% down, they could have this house. What if you don't have 20% down? Well, conventional loans, you can do a 10%. You can do it any percentage you want, but running the same scenario, you can see what the mortgage amount's a little bit higher. Interest rate's the same. So the principal and interest went up a bit. Home insurance is the same. The difference now, because I didn't put 20% down, is I'm adding $57 in private mortgage insurance. So you see the payment went up about $300 a month, but I didn't have to bring an extra $33,000 to closing, right? So now what if I could get an FHA loan, which most people can, and unless the house has some unusual things wrong with it, FHA usually applies. So here's your mortgage amount. Now you're only putting 3.5% out of your own pocket. And the thing with FHA is you can get upwards of 6% in seller concessions, which is a separate topic on a separate day. Interest rate dropped a little bit. You're at 6.5. So as you can go down here, but your private mortgage insurance. So instead of it, actually, I should have switched that. It's MIP, mortgage insurance premium on FHA and VA, goes up. So your payment's $25.39. And then the last scenario is Jeff's got this first-time home buyer, conventional loan, 3% down, bigger mortgage amount, a little bit lower, better interest rate, 6.75. And as you can see, you still have that $136 of private mortgage insurance or MIP. Well, we're back to PMI here. And then your total payments, $26.32. So using the scenario of my son and my daughter-in-law, the renters, which we're trying to get them off that side. What's the advantages to owning versus renting, right? And so I reached out to our friend, Mr. Dave Stonick, who in a minute you'll see another slide that shows this. But here's what you can see up here. The seller paid $149,000 10 years ago. She's more than doubled the value of the house in that 10-year time. So the house is selling for $330,000. Her first mortgage is $99,500. And then they took money out of and did a home equity line so they could replace the septic tank and do some other improvements. And so $28,000. And then the cost of selling, which includes title insurance and recording fees and the shark fee to the realtors, the professional fee to the realtors is $28,875. She's going to walk away with almost $174,000 at closing on April 15th. That's a pretty good return on your investment. Yes, you made payments for the last 10 years, but to be able to walk away with that kind of cash, and then she'll put that down and towards her new house when they find one down in North Carolina, and Jeff's helping her with that. The bigger thing, and especially the benefits of ownership versus the benefits of renting. Look down at the bottom. What tax benefits do you get for renting? Zero, right? Is that correct, Dave Stonick? He's correct. So 1 year, the first year, actually every year, you get to write off your property taxes. So again, these are low taxes, but if I get to write off $3,235 a year from my federal return, that's a good thing. Look at the amount of mortgage interest paid in year one. Over $18,000 of your total payment went to interest payments. So Dave would have to do some quick gazintas to see how any of those four mortgage scenarios would work out for a buyer. But I would assume that in any one of those four scenarios, $2,000 a month rent, $2,500, $2,600 a monthly payment would probably wash out the same. The difference is 10 or more than 50 or more than doubling what I paid for the house 10 years later, right? I've got something to show for it. I've had to maintain the property, right? I've had to do things that I might not have to do in a rental, but at the end of it, I own it, right? So, boy, I'm under 10 minutes. I have 53 seconds left. And I don't know half these languages, but this is, thanks for listening to me. Do you have any questions?